Your Excellency, welcome to AUK Radio. Brilliant conversation yesterday at Chatham House. You summarized foreign policies issue in Democratic Republic of Congo. My first question is, why are you here in London?
Thank you so much. First of all, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate the opportunity. I've been appointed 3 months ago. We've also seen a change here in the UK in terms of the administration, and I thought it was a good idea to come here, meet my counterparts, and engage in important conversations we need to have. The first one is obviously the situation in the east of the DRC, our biggest concern, because our population in the east is facing very difficult humanitarian situation, conflict, warfare, displacement. And so this is the first topic that I have a responsibility to carry forth and engage with, but also engaging with different stakeholders in the UK on other aspects of our partnerships with the UK, with UK firms in terms of development, investment in the DRC, and the perspectives that we have to strengthen the ties between the two countries.
Yesterday, there was a question around your relationship, your ties with your allies. French, Paris is one of your allies. But you mentioned something that now Kinshasa is trying to strengthen relationship with the UK, with the United Kingdom. Where are we now at this stage between London and Kinshasa?
We've always had very good relationships with the UK, but they can always be better. So we're not starting from a bad place, we're starting from a good place, but we're starting from the place that has much more to offer. And this is where we are now. We are at a stage where we look at the future together and we look at how we can work together in a better manner, but also where we can have frank conversations about issues that are important to us. And as I said, one issue that is very important to us is the situation in the East. And this is why we also discuss this, because the United Kingdom is a permanent member of the Security Council, and we have high expectations that the United Kingdom plays a greater role in contributing to stability in the DRC. And that also means calling out those who have been playing a role and who bear a responsibility for destabilizing the east of the DRC, specifically Rwanda, with which the UK has very strong ties. And so this is part of any good relationship, is being frank and engaging in clear, robust, and sometimes also constructive conversations.
Do you think Congo never been heard or was misunderstood?
That's an interesting question. I think there is an element of both. I think the responsibility is always ours to make sure that we are heard, because again, we speak on behalf of the people. But there is also an important aspect of re-establishing some of the fundamental truths that have not come across or that have been misconstrued over decades. And so we can speak of misunderstanding, or we can speak of not wanting to see the full picture. And what we are doing here is making sure that this full picture is known, is understood, and that everyone bears the responsibility in an informed manner for their action and for their lack of action. And this is part of our communication with different countries.
Recently, there was a debate around Congo's involvement, part of membership of l'OIF, l'Organisation Internationale de la Francophonie. I think the debate is still ongoing, where people are asking what relationship Kinshasa has with Paris in terms of membership of OIF. I remember that we have to emphasize that Congo is one of the founding fathers of OIF. So some people are saying that Congo have to withdraw, pull out from Francophonie and join, maybe the question was asked yesterday, Commonwealth, or reconsider its position within OIF. What's your position with that?
The DRC, just as any other country, first of all, has to operate on the basis of its own interests. And so when we look at our membership in the Francophonie, it is one where we want to contribute, but we also want to be heard, and that where we want our contribution to be respected and valued. And this is something that we have with all organizations we're a member of, we have the full latitude to examine to what extent our membership serves our interests, to what extent the way we are treated and the way organizations are run and managed respond not only to our interests but also to the principles and the values of those organizations. And so I know that there's a lot of, speculations, discussions, opinions about the OEF, and certainly we take them into account, and certainly we take into account the bigger reflection of where is it that our voice is heard, our voice is respected. What does it have to do with the way we show up? What does it have to do with the way we are received? And this is always an ongoing reflection that we have to engage in. And it's just the same thing when we look at the perspective of joining or adhering to other organizations and other bodies. It is also that reflection of what are the values, what are the principles, and what does it add for us as a country to be a member or not. So I think even the perspective or the option of joining the Commonwealth is something that has to be subject to that kind of reflection and that kind of rational decision-making.
World-class presentation yesterday at Chatham House. You mentioned something that Congo is open to business. Mm-hmm. And in terms of economic perspective, we know that mining industry, extractive industry is one of the Congo main resources. And China playing a dominant role right now. Is China the main partner, or what's the relationship between Congo and China?
We have excellent relationships with Congo and with China. There are excellent relationships between the two countries, just as we have excellent relationships with other countries. I guess the difference is indeed that we happen to see more Chinese investment in the DRC. But as I said yesterday, and I continue emphasizing, when we look at partnerships, when we think about investments in a country as large, as rich, as diverse as the Democratic Republic of the Congo, you cannot afford to be ambitious about your development. You cannot afford to be ambitious about the aspirations and meeting the aspirations of your people with a lens of exclusivity. So when we look at partnerships and investment, it is always from a perspective of complementarity. So we engage successfully with China. We look forward to taking that partnership to the next stage, but we also look forward to welcoming other partners, and we look forward to them bringing to the table the special added value that they have, and that can lead to a flourishing economy and better living conditions and economic perspectives for our population.
China is one of the largest economies right now, and is part of BRICS. India is part of BRICS, Brazil, South Africa is as well. Ethiopia has been invited. Is there any appetite for Congo to join BRICS as well?
I think what is interesting about the BRICS is that it shows to what extent our world is not as polar or as unipolar as we have very often assumed it to be or have been led to believe it to be. And this is a very refreshing development, because it challenges us to think about some of the paradigms that we have held true for so long. And so, the reality is we are in a multipolar world. We are no longer in a world where you just have one or two hubs that dominate everything. And what is important here is to make sure that the DRC is also part of this multipolar world. Now, is that advocacy, is that messaging, is that posture going to be expressed through the conduit of the BRICS? I think just as is the case with the OEF and with the Commonwealth, of course, their ambitions and their mandates are completely different, but the logic is still the same. We as a country have to put our interests first. We have to analyze the situation. We have to analyze these organizations and see to what extent do they align with our priorities, our values, and first of all, our responsibility to serve our people. And this is how we are also looking at the BRICS, very dynamic, with a lot of promise, of course, with a lot of potential, and this is something that we are keeping our eye on.
Thank you, Your Excellency, for time at UK Radio.
Thank you so much for having me.